All right. You all got your cookies? Got all your stuff? Okay. This won't be as long as your first one. Scion went on for an hour and 4 minutes. So,
including discussion and everything
nope.
else.
That was cutting out discussion and publishing the video. It was an hour and 4 minutes. Not even close.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. I just published it today. I just finished it at 5 o'clock because it took 45 minutes to process because it was so long.
I thought it was my shortest.
That may be true. There's only one of them's 30 minutes because you corrupted both the audio and the video for your second half, but that's the only reason why. All right, so we're on stealing. Stealing part 2, okay? Getting the opportunity to listen to Scion last week. He already went through some of this with you, right? You guys know what the 8th Commandment is. You could recite it to me. We don't have this problem, right? Thou shalt not steal. You shall not steal. Whatever language you want to use, right? Okay? This comes from Exodus, comes from Deuteronomy. Okay? He gave you the Westminster Larter Catechism. We're not reading this again, okay? Lots of wordings, right? He talked through this. This is just review. He went through specifically how you steal from God. His whole thing was how you steal from God. And then he said, I get to teach on how you steal from each other. All right? So some of these are separated out for you to see as stealing from God, and some of them you can see as stealing from man. It tells you specifically in some places, all right? What I want to focus on is actually not what that specifically says, but I want to talk about this definition. Can someone read it for me?
Stealing is not merely taking what is visibly another's. It is any unjust taking or withholding any sinful enriching of self at another's expense, or any defrauding of self of God's good gifts.
Okay, let's break this down a little bit. What does this stealing idea encompass when we're talking about man? It encompasses not just you going up to someone and taking their stuff, okay? It could be you taking their stuff, right? It could also be withholding something. So if you all wanted pretzels and I said no, right? I brought a big plate of pretzels just for this moment because I didn't get to eat dinner and that's my quote-unquote dinner. Yeah, have one, right? Withholding something from you that I either owe you, you deserve as a brother, whatever we want to use, okay? Or sinful enriching of self at your expense, okay? So if Scion put a big KFC bucket here and said in order to come to the meeting, he had to put in $5, okay? And that was his way of fundraising himself. That would be sinful enriching at others' expense, okay? If you required your friends to insert a certain amount of money to talk with you, okay? If they had to buy you something, you'll know this actually. This can happen sometimes in dating, where a male or a female, you have to do stuff with them in order to get their affections. You know this idea? Yes? Not uncommon to you, or at least portrayed in movies. Okay? Or any defrauding of self of God's good gifts. And this is the one that I think is going to trip us all up here. What does that mean? Someone explain to me what that means. Yeah, Grant?
It's like withholding God's gifts from yourself. Like if he would forgive you, but you won't let him.
That's a very common one, right? When you are proclaiming the forgiveness of God and you go, nuh-uh, not for me, I don't deserve it. Or if you decide to starve yourself because you failed a class. Or if you decide you're not allowed to hang out with people anymore because you did so bad, or you didn't do this, or whatever thing you're going to punish yourself for is the same thing. If you look at God's good gifts and say, I don't deserve that, okay? That is defrauding yourself of God's good gifts. And I use this definition because it gives you the idea of the positive and negative. I talked with you guys the last time I was here. I went through this really heavily, remember? When I was like, thou shalt not, and we talked through that idea. What's the positive and the negative? All these commandments include a positive and negative. And this one says, when you say don't steal, it's not just others. It's robbing yourself of things too. And we have to reintroduce the idea, right? Because we can think stealing, and we can go to the other commandments and be like, what other commandments have stealing encompassed in them? Right? What of your other 10 commandments would you be like, why do we need stealing specifically? What's that about? Can you think of any of the other 9 you get to choose from? What other ones sound like don't steal? What?
Thou shalt not envy.
Envy, right? Envy is one could argue envy is a form of stealing. What else? Adultery, right? I think Sion talked about that one in his message. I'm trying to remember. I just listened to both of them today, so it's kind of fresh, but not really, right? Stealing with adultery, right? What other ones? Is there any other ones? Murder, right? It's really encompassed in all of them, isn't it? In a weird way, it almost can feel extra, tacked on. Over the top? Why do we have a specific one for stealing? Right? It's because stealing is self-focused. Because when you think about stealing, specifically within the order of commandments, it goes against you every single time. Because every single time you steal, no matter what form, it's saying, I am the most. All of your self-words, give me some self-words. I put some up there, but give me some self-words. Self-help. Self-righteousness. Sure, but let's get normal. Give me self-defense, maybe. Yeah? Keep coming through. Self-gratification, esteem, love, right? What are the buzzwords of today when we talk about self? Self-care, right? Okay? When we talk about these self-words, the primary focus is who? It's you, right? And all of the self-words seek to say you deserve some level of something. Okay? You went to the bar because it was self-care. You needed it after your exam. Okay? You went and ate a huge plate of food that made you throw up because you needed to feel better about X, Y, or Z thing. You needed to take that thing because it made you feel better about your loss or your, right? You needed to fix it yourself. And is the opposite of what the commandment says. Because the commandment says that you need to love your neighbor, right? 2 greatest commandments. One of them is love your neighbor as yourself, right? And this one goes directly against it. Because stealing, when it comes down to it, robs everyone else of all of the giving, the labors, the providing, the love, the care, the nurture, the sacrifice you are supposed to give to others. The Christian walk, on its face, is noted by sacrifice. The core of it, the core of Christianity is sacrifice. You cannot show me one thing declared by our God that is not sacrifice. Whether it's sacrifice of authority, like I talked about last time I got to be here, in that authorities are supposed to make you better at their expense. It could be love. Love is presented as sacrifice too, isn't it? When men, Ephesians tells you to love like Jesus, right? Love him like he loved the church. What did he do for the church? He died for the church, right? Love is portrayed this way. Honor, outdo each other, outdo one another in showing honor. It's from Colossians, right? You're supposed to have contests with your brothers and sisters to outdo one another in honor. That's not very self-serving, is it? Do these things become self-serving? Can we make them self-serving? Yeah. That's why this is so important. Because within the Christian community, within the Christian people, when we talk about stealing, it makes the church a stink. It makes us vile to the rest of the world. Because we look just like them. If you're going to do stuff only to get what you want out of it, how are you any different? It has to cost you dearly. Stealing strikes the very character of God. What is God known as all throughout the scriptures? What does he do, right? Comes to the aid of a people that often do not like him, often mad at him, often pissed, often sinning against him, often fill in the blank in abject sin. And then he comes in and saves them. He gives them what they need. He gives them land. He gives them food. He gives them rain. He rains rain on the just and the unjust, right? Do you have to be good enough to get his gifts? Do you have to be good enough for him to make your lungs? The whole core of Christianity says give. And so when you steal, you have to see this as such a big deal. Okay? Philippians 2, 3 through 8. Someone read that for me.
Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others. Have this attitude in yourselves, which was also in Christ Jesus, who, although he existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a bondservant, being made in the likeness of men, being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross.
What is your example for selflessness? Jesus, right? Sunday school answer. We all got that, okay? What did Jesus specifically do here, right? What's this line? He existed in the form of God. He was God, truly God, right? And what did he do that made this so important? What is his reasoning for why this is so selfless? What did he do? Well, that's not quite what this is saying. It's actually saying he did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped. What does that mean? Let's decipher that out, right? The God of the universe came down as man and then said, I'm not going to consider myself equal to what I am in this form as a man. Did he have every right to? When he was on the cross, could he have caused a legion of angels to come and save him? Could he have stopped them, healed himself, got down, said, all right, we're done, show's over, you lost, you had your chance? And what did he choose to do? None of that. So the selflessness you're supposed to embody is a picture of a man who is God and decides not to use it. Does that eat at you a little bit? Because let's be honest here. I already said this to someone, right? If you got to be the Pope or the president for a day, right? You got to make one decree, right? Would your decree be selfless? Would your one thing you get to change about America or Catholicism, whatever authority, you get to be the president, you get to be Kubik for a day. What's one thing you're changing about tech? Let's be honest here, right? It's not going to be something that serves everybody else. And that power is going to get to us. And this is something that we know, right? Does power corrupt people? How often? Most of the time. Because without the proper checks and balances, that's what it does, right? It gets to our head, it gets into our hearts, and we love it. And we use it, and misuse it, and abuse it. Does that make power the problem? I'm glad we all shake our heads no. It's very helpful, right? That's what he did. Being God decided to go, I'm not going to do these things that I could do. What does he say in the garden that's so particular to this idea? Do you remember what he says? Well, he's praying. Not my will, but thy will. That kind of idea, right? Oh, wrong way. What about this next one? Who wants to read these for me? Next one.
For you were called to freedom, brethren, only do not turn your freedom into an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another.
In Romans 15.
Now we who are strong ought to bear the weaknesses of those without strength, and not just please ourselves. Each of us is to please his neighbor for his good, to his edification.
This is everywhere. You're going to find it in almost every book. That the freedom you're given, the joy you're given, the power you're given in Christ is for who? Everybody else. Not for you. And so if you see this, why would God make a specific commandment against stealing? It flies in the face of everything he's done. Your little stealing every time, no matter what it is, flies in the face of the Creator's gifts. Completely, entirely, wholeheartedly, because of what he's given. You're stealing a candy at work that you should have paid $0.25 for. Flies in the face of the Creator who gives you everything. Anyone ever been tempted to lie on a timesheet? Right? Or know someone who's been tempted to lie on a timesheet? Or someone who's lied about it on a timesheet? Every little time. It's all flies in the face because the Creator said, what are your gifts for? Why are you at work? Are you at work so that you can get money? No, not primarily. You're at work to glorify God at your work because you're supposed to work because God loves that you work. He made you for work. And so if you steal time, what are you saying? Your time is worth more than your God. This is why it's so bad. This is why this commandment is so important when we think about each other. Dang it. Keep turning around. This should be the right way up. I don't know why this... All right. Someone give me this one.
As each one has received a special gift, employ it in serving one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Whoever speaks is to do so as one who is speaking the utterances of God. Whoever services is to do so as one who is serving by the strength of which God supplies, so that in all things God may be glorified through Jesus Christ, to whom belongs the glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
When I'm up here and I'm speaking, what am I supposed to be speaking to you like? The utterances of God. And if I up here, and we talked about this before, if I come up here and tell you to go do sinful things, who gets in trouble? This guy, right? What about if you serve? If you were going to go from here and we were going to go help Habitat for Humanity, would it be good for us to complain the entire time? Would it be good for us to go there and do a really crappy job? Does everyone remember who went with me to, I know you did. The other one I remember, wood chopping. You went wood chopping. Went wood chopping, right? How much did we get done? Enough. It was good. I didn't hear any whining. I didn't hear any complaining. It was great. You guys had a good, chipper, encouraging soul. And it was good work. Could we have done more? I'm sure. I'm sure we could have made the best people work the best jobs and strive for the... We had... Chris was there trying to learn how to chop wood. He did a great job.
Don't lie.
No, you strived and you tried very hard to learn how to do that right. That's a good job. You didn't cut a lot of wood. I'm not saying you were like a machine. You learned how to swing an axe. And that was good. And that was good, hearty, faithful work. Right? And the point of that was to glorify our God. The core of that was not stealing. If we stood around and we whined and complained, ate all their snacks and asked for more, right? Wanted breaks, right? We're turning the gifts we're supposed to be giving inwardly. The whole idea of stealing against people is using your gifts for yourself instead of others. Okay? So, there's some pretty obvious ones we could talk about, right? We could go to slavery, man stealing, right? This could be easy. We could talk about materials of wealth. We could talk about spouses, daughters, porn, adultery. We could talk about stealing forever. We go to a lot of things, okay? I want to tackle 3 you're not going to think of, okay? That's this right bit. Vocations with unlawful callings, wastefulness, your idleness, your prodigality, your wasteful gaming, you're defrauding yourself. And I want to go to this one because you guys are especially prone to defrauding yourselves. In either a masochistic way or a selfish way. You have ways of defrauding yourself and doing things backwards as forms of punishment. All right? What is an unlawful calling? What does that mean? Why would I say something's an unlawful calling for you to do? Does everyone know what calling means? I don't mean phone call. Right? What's an unlawful calling? Anybody?
A career that God does not approve of.
It could be career, right? It could be a non-God-approved career. I want to stick it actually even broader, okay? Any vocation, any business, or anything you pursue that cannot be done to the glory of God or harms neighbors rather than serves. Okay? So you can, a vocation is fatherhood. If you have sex outside marriage and you become a father, you have an unlawful vocation. That is an example of this. When you go against the glory of God, do something self-serving, and now you're pulled somewhere where you are not glorifying God. Can they be remedied? Yes. I'm not saying these are irrevocable, but what I'm telling you is we get into these all the time. You can slack off during classes, right? You can, how many of you are seniors? How hard is this last month? How hard is it to stay diligent? How hard is it to keep working, right? You can defraud your future employer by not learning these last few months, by not caring, by giving up. You can do that with your classes now, where you're like, well, I'm going to get an A, and it doesn't matter if I do the assignments or learn the material. Some of you know teachers that you can get around the teacher and the schoolwork because you figured out their procedure. And you defraud your future self and your future employers. You can try to take out of your position, take a step out of your position, and go to one that you're not called for. Right? So, should everyone in this room be a manager of the bookstore? It takes like a certain amount of like finesse with books and things, and I absolutely am terrible at keeping track of books. I'm not an admin guy. You should not trust me with admin work. You should not trust me with design work. You can ask Haley. Okay? There's things I am bad at. Okay? Just flat out. And I should not be trying to step out of my position and do them because I think I'm good enough. Right? So a way that you can do this is if you're doing a really good job in your internship or something, and you're like, let's say you get a new job, and you're like, I want to be the manager, and you're not manager material. Some of you aren't. Having other people under you isn't your thing. And some of you are going to ask to be promoted to manager, and you're like, no, I'd rather work with the machines because I know them and understand them and the math. And an unlawful calling is taking that because you're enticed by the money. You're enticed past your abilities. All respectable callings on campus are unlawful before God if pursued with covetousness and self-serving hearts. This campus, and I've talked about this before, what's the big slogan on the bridge, or at least it was at one point? It was like, the future needs tech, or something like that. Right? Tomorrow needs tech. Close. Right? One of the ways that they try to rile you guys up as engineers and as students is portraying you as like so good and so fit for the job. Let's be honest, is that always true? No. And some of you know that right now because some of you are trying to get jobs and you can't find one. And it's not for lack of trying. It's not for having not like done all the hard work, they just look at you and they go, nope. And there can be a pain right here if it's your third semester without an internship where you're like, I deserve one. Text brought it up in me that I deserve an internship. You can be angry when you graduate because I should have gotten a degree. They have a 98% placement rate. And it makes a respectable calling, you finishing your degree, into sin. Because it's portrayed as something you deserve, and it's self-serving. Is your degree ultimately for you? No. Oh, I broke it. Hey. All right. Modern examples. Left side, easy one. Okay? Really, really easy. Okay? We could talk about how all of the fake callings of like transgenderism, which says you should be a boy if you're a girl or girl if you're a boy, furries, euthanasia, prostitution, feminism, hyperpatriarchy, birth control, homosexuality, bestiality. We'd go through all these, right? These would be really easy pickings. We could be able to sit here and be like, right? Because they treat image bearers as commodities. And they steal by you not actually doing what you are made to do. Right? Pick one, you're doing something outside of God's given limits. Easy, right? Left side's easy. Right one's hard. The right one's harder to understand because it actually attacks something underneath that's not really present today. So if we talked about IVF, we could have long conversations because people don't think of IVF as bad. But ultimately, IVF says that you get to pick how many babies you have and when you get to have them, and puts them in petri dishes, and then ultimately ends up killing life because they don't all get born. Does this mean that, everyone remembers Rachel? Rachel is an IVF baby. She's a part of triplets. Does that make Rachel sin? No, thank you. Okay? Right? It's not what I'm saying with these things. But you have to understand, this right side of the table all treats God commands as secondary and optional. They twist some biblical command. They say, hey, let's... these are some easy ones too, but they're just a little bit more harder to get there. Stay-at-home dads. What's wrong with stay-at-home dads? Hunter? What's wrong with stay-at-home dads? You don't know? One of the things that men have to do, husbands have to do, is provide for their families. If they don't provide it for their family, there is worse than an unbeliever, right? Stay-at-home dads is unbiblical. It treats God's commands as secondary. Influencers. What's up with influencers? Why do I have influence on there? Why are influencers bad? Yeah. The whole point of influencing is to get people to follow you and give you money and do what you do and buy what you buy and to be you. It's the whole point, right? That's like every YouTube video, right? Boom, boom, subscribe now, like the page or whatever. It's the whole thing, right? So you can kind of see, if you take some time and look at these, where these come from. My favorite on this list is the 30 children are in sin or no more than 2. Whenever we talk about children and everyone's like, you have to have this many, or you have to do this much, or this is a great argument. I love when we get into this one. Because it's always about our preferences and it's never about God. It's always self-serving. Right? Are there instances where you shouldn't have any more kids? Absolutely. Are there instances where you should have more kids? Absolutely. And people don't like either of those conversations. Wastefulness. Idleness. Wasteful gaming. I added that one. I hope you like that one, tech students. What is wastefulness? What is wastefulness? I'm good at this. What is wastefulness? Give me a standard definition.
When something that could be useful is discarded and not used.
Absolutely. Right? My helpful definition for you is stealing from your own household. From those you could help, the church, the poor, ultimately the king who entrusted you with that time, that strength, that money, those talents, and you use them for yourself. So you can kill time, right? Everyone has time killers. We've used that term before, where you know you should be doing something else, but you don't want to. Or this one grinds my gears a lot, right? When I hear people say they have adult money, but they're still a kid. I don't know if you've heard that before. At my talking with people in my age bracket, as we lovingly sing me happy birthday, this is one of those things that grinds my gears. When people want to use their money and they treat it like they should indulge themselves all the time. Gambling, aka gotcha games. Anyone playing a gotcha game on their phone? I strongly encourage you to remove it. Those things are a hole, right? You too. And these things are expectable on campus, right? You'll see someone, everyone does it, I deserve a break, it's just entertainment, fill in the blank. Right? Especially gotcha games, especially these things, right? Modern examples, you have your left side, easy pickings, right? People that don't want to budget, eating out all the time, refusing to learn new skills, video games, indebtedness, self-care, really self-anything, makes stuff self-serving. Its intended use is to uphold or primarily strengthen your vices. Whatever thing you're addicted to, loot boxes, opening loot boxes or opening gotcha game packs or whatever it is, it's meant to be self-serving. Harder to understand might be some of these ones on the right? Endless research. Anyone got an idea in their head what I mean by endless research?
Well, the ranks keep going, so I'll get my 3rd PhD.
That could be one. Yep. Idly sitting around, sitting on your 3rd PhD because you can get it. What's another way we do endless researching? What's a more practical way? Yes. So if you sit here and you go, I have every possibility before me, and I don't want to make a decision, you are being wasteful. You have to make choices. You have to make choices. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, you're going to miss out on things. And this culture loves FOMO. Right? Everyone knows what FOMO is, right? Someone tell me what it is. How does this weaponized against you today? Give me an example of something that's FOMO. No.
Someone invites you to something maybe wasteful on the weekend, and you picked up a shift, or maybe you're already working, so they make work seem like a bad thing.
Yep, that's a common one. Yep. Other ways are anytime you're offered something, but it's only a limited time, right? It's enticed through usually your childhood or some kind of like nostalgic thing, right? Like limited time. What did I see? I was on Facebook, that pit hole, and there was an ad for a Pokemon Lego set, because I grew up playing Pokemon. That was like $700. And of course, limited time, like this one run, blah, 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 blah. And you know what they're going to do later. If it makes big money, what are they going to do? Re-release it. Yeah. Shamrock Shake. What did we just get past? St. Patty's Day, right? I love Shamrock Shakes. Limited time. It's everywhere. It's in all the things. Subscription models follow the same methodology, right? Never coming to stances or conclusions on things. Avoiding your understanding of mortality. This might be weird for you. Why is avoiding your understanding of mortality wasteful? If you don't understand that your time is limited, what are you going to do with it? Burn it. And one of the reasons why this is so prevalent today is because no one contemplates the fact that they will die. Not that they could die, that they will die. What does the idea of having death in life mean? You're finite. You're a limited time. If you remove that from all culture, right? If you censor the word die on the internet, death, right? What does it do? It removes that from our culture and removes any idea of death being an ultimatum placed upon your life. We'll upload your brains one day to the Matrix, and you'll be able to live forever. There's a TV show based on that, where some young guy's in a car. I've seen it as an ad on YouTube. Is it called Upload? Yeah, he's in a car, he dies, and then he's got like this hair thing, and that was the only thing I got out of it, is they digitized him having a weird hair flick, and it bothered him. But his consciousness is uploaded into the Matrix thing. That's the movie. Because death wants to be avoided at all costs, right? Frugality for the sake of penny pinching. Why is it wasteful to be extra frugal? Really cheap. If you buy a cheap, rusted banger of a car every 6 months, you deserve to be slapped. Okay? Especially if you have like 6 figures sitting in a bank account. You should be slapped. Okay? And you should be slapped because you have the resources to do something useful, to save yourself time and energy, and you're like, nah, I want the number to be big. How big does your bank account have to be before you're going to spend it? Why do you make money? To spend it. And I'm not saying frivolously. I'm saying take care of yourself. Right? This is that one we pointed out specifically, and I said, like, the fact that you actually loathe yourself or won't take care of yourself, that's part of this problem. Part of the reality is some of you have such a low standard of life that's been given to you that you won't spend the money to make yourself even that much more comfortable. And it's a form of masochism.
And just to clarify this, because there are real-life instances where the pastors are actually disciplining some of the congregants in the church because their hobbies are hoarding things, selling and buying things, right? And if that's your main source of income, that's one thing. But there are people who do it out of hobby, and it takes up a lot of their time and energy to the degree where the man is now neglecting his family. His wife and his kids, they're all dragged into this mess.
It's a real problem. It can break up and does break up families. For people to be unwilling to take care of things because they don't want to spend the money on their family. I grew up on food stamps. I have this same problem. My wife has been slowly curing me of it and making me buy things that last longer than 6 months. But I'm used to wearing my shoes while they have holes in the ground in my soles. Like, I'm used to that. And I shouldn't be. I should actually be taking care of the body God gave me. And the other one on here I want to point out is refusing to share the gospel versus always sharing the gospel. Why would this be wasteful? Why would we think it'd be wasteful for me to put these two and make them, why did I make them the extremes? What's the problem with the extremes?
If you refuse to share it, you're not actually using, like, we talked in church about, like, this week of, like, we were given to guard the gospel as the church, and you're not actually doing that. But if you're always sharing it, you're, like, just throwing seeds around and not, like, taking care of them.
There is a sense in which people will go around and just plop the gospel around and not actually take care of the people they try to share the gospel with. Where they don't actually go the step they don't make themselves available for that next step. They don't actually want to help people. They want to cure their conscience. And there's also people who refuse to do it because if they actually had to do it, it'd mean they'd have to do something beyond what they understand. It'd push them to learn. There's a lot of ways in which we make a lot of these things self-servant. They're usually therapeutic or experience-driven. And this is how we steal from others. We'll drive to some therapy thing for our own souls, or we'll drive to some experience in order to participate, or FOMO, or whatever it is. Okay? What about defrauding ourselves? Misusing God's provision, right? I did it again. To defraud ourselves means to misuse or to fail to rightly enjoy what the Lord has provided. You rob yourselves of the comfort, usefulness, and fruitfulness He intended. Right? This one's probably the one you like the least of this list. I know the other two were pretty abrasive, but what does this one tell you about yourselves? If you refuse to feel joy or happiness at an A, if you refuse to celebrate the fact that you've graduated, if you refuse to have your birthday song sung to you because it's your birthday, if you refuse to be noticed, to be lifted up, to be heralded as the leader of the group, to be given time in front of people, if you have such a little view of yourself, you defraud others of your presence, of who you are, of joy. You rob them of things because you think your comfort or your usefulness is bad. And there's people that have been taught this. You have to see that too, right? Anxiety is a good form of this. And you fail to actually enjoy what God's given, and you're always fretting about the next moment or the next thing, the next desire. Refusal to take care of your body, right? I say put CS majors because it's funny, right? What's the funny joke with CS majors? Stinky. There's a whole hall, right? It's funny. But back when we had a girls' house, you know what the problem was every time I walked into that building? It wasn't smell. It was asking when the last time they ate was and being told several days ago. Because you women refuse to eat, Emily. And you know this because we laugh at this because that's what you do. Some of you refuse to take care of yourselves. Really, truly. Oh, darn it. Coasting through college. Some of you are smarter than what you let on. Some of you could be doing better in your classes. Some of you could be been through them already. Some of you could have graduated in 3 years and you were decided to be lazy. Some of you did not want to apply yourself. You knew you could try harder, and you said, I'm going to take the easy route and coast. Some of you picked up second degrees that you should not have done, and then you swapped majors freshman year. You don't take care of yourself. You either decide your ambitions are the mountains, or you decide the ambitions are the swamp. And you never decide to look at the road and see what you're actually capable of. We have an almost illogical view of ourselves. Dang it. Because our age celebrates radical minimalism and endless self-improvement. If you went online right now to find a weight loss thing, what would you find? If you wanted to find a workout supplement, what would you find? You'd find shortcuts, you'd find long-term, you'd find a billion things. You'd find tren, you'd find steroids, other steroids, you'd find caffeine supplements, gamer fuel, right? And there's some easy pickings here too, right? Gym rats and diets, chronic poor sleep or overwork, wasting food. This is my wife's pet peeve. If anything spoils, she's just so upset, right? Never playing a video game or watching a movie or getting a drink with a friend. Yes, I put video games in one spot, and then I said, here, never playing a video game. Why would I do that? Balance. Oh, that's a shocking word, isn't it? Nuance? It's almost like I'm not saying they're inherently bad. I'm saying your use of them is disgusting. It's almost like we have this thing where we either play them for 36 hours straight or we never touch them. It's either we play the whole Minecraft game, we read the whole Minecraft book. Who here is guilty of binge watching a show from beginning to end, or a season from beginning to end in one day? Yeah. If you had to deal with the episodes coming on only on Saturday at 9 a.m. like I had to growing up with Pokemon, it would kill many of you. I'm sorry, you have no self-control in this area. And I say self-control like that's a good thing. But you have no inhibitors. You're all or nothing. And I'm like this too. This is where I'm a failure too in this, right? They can feel harmless, but they look at the 8th Commandment and say, I need to expend everything right now. No modulation, no moderation, just full-on gas. Light the match and go. Some things that are harder to understand are delaying marriage, children, or home ownership. What's the memes of today with money and home ownership? You don't even try. Okay? You know how much money I make every year? About $32K. Just deal with it. I have a $200,000 house. It was not free. No. That'd be cool. That'd have been great. No, it's a $1,500 a month mortgage. No, I bought it from the other guy. Yes. Right? We make it work. It's $1,500 a month. It's about half my salary. We make it work. Do we eat out a whole lot? No. Do we do a lot of other things? No. But the homeownership stuff is based upon false principles.
And also the Californian market.
Which is just a joke.
In which it is genuinely impossible.
Yes. But it's been impossible since, I think, California was instituted.
It's got
All right? Also, on the same leg is retired by 30. Why is retired by 30 wasteful?
wasting half your working life.
I came here to Michigan Tech to be a chemical engineer to go work on an oil rig. That is what I wanted to do. I wasn't going to get married. I was going to be single and work on an oil rig. You want to know why? You make bank, and you can't spend it. You can't. It's like almost being in the army. They give you money in an account, and you can't do anything with it because it's there, and you're here. I was going to do oil rig work for about 6-7 years, have like $1 million or $2 million in the bank, and be done. Out. That was my goal. And it was wasteful, because what I wanted to do was then sit and play video games the rest of my life. That was the goal. So, like, we'll get to this a little later, but this is what people go through. This is what I went through. Okay? You treat yourselves like machines. This is me. Right? Not all of you know this, but I like weightlifting. I have had to curve back my weightlifting because when I was 23, like I've said before, I think you should only weightlift in 45-pound increments. I love putting the 45s on the bar. I hate putting the 25s. It feels lame, right? And so what I did was I decided I was going to go from 225 to 315 on deadlift. I then hurt my back so bad I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. I thought I was going to be hospitalized. I didn't know if I could walk again because my back went in and out while I was lifting. I thought I was going to be paralyzed because I'm stupid. Okay? Because I like big numbers, and I, for some reason, thought that's just how it worked. And I was wasteful. Idiotic. Hoarding's here, like Sion already said, right? Depression or any emotional overindulgence. Anytime you give into any pit, depression, whatever it may be, as overindulgently, all to it, it is wasteful. Okay? And in this is where Christians today are faithless. If we look at the Christians as a whole, we look at the body of believers we would identify with, career choices are focused on comfort. What you decide to do, where you decide to go. I know of very few people who go, all right, I'm going to move here because this is a solid church, and I'll find a job in the area. The energy and the youth that you guys have is spent on self-care. Most of you aren't taught how to live alone when you come here. And I see many of you into your 20s, early 20s, mid-20s, still cooking ramen or eggs in a microwave. I lived with a guy who was 23 microwaving eggs. Your youth, your energy, men, you are workhorses at 18. And it's spent on Minecraft. More gadgets and gizmos and toys than ever. I hate how many things I have to carry around just to communicate today. I've got a phone, I've got a tablet. Are they helpful? Are they inherently evil? Am I telling you to go out and get off grid and build farms and become Amish? No. Okay? But we are so unbelieving in how we handle the things God has given us that we steal predominantly from each other through all of these things. We don't use our gifts for our neighbors. We don't care where God's going to take us. We don't care what our gifts are. We don't care what we should spend our time on. We do everything to self-indulge. And it's why the church is dying in your generation. It's why when you look around, the amount of churches being planted is less than the amount of churches that close up every year. Churches don't have love for one another. What is the core of love? If someone tells you they love you, what should that be communicating? It starts with S, sacrifice. And none of those things are sacrifice. All of those things are selfish. Selfishness is the death of the modern church. The very core of it. The very core of any church you're going to be in. I guarantee you, 10 years out, if they're a selfish, self-indulgent, unsacrificial church, they will die. Does selfishness breed love? Fellowship, growth, humility. Pick a spiritual fruit. Does it come from selfishness? Okay? You have been indoctrinated into loveless lives. It's not because the world is too strong. It's not because the world out there is so evil and so... It's because you've been encouraged to be loveless towards the people you should be loving the most. The people that should have your time, your energy, your youth, your passion, your desires, your work, your strength, your wisdom, your might, your care. You withhold from them. And you become thieves who not only rob God, but you rob one another, and you rob future believers of all that you could have done. All the time you could have spent, all the people that made like real life video games in Minecraft. I know I'm stuck on Minecraft. I don't know why. I apologize. I'm not saying Minecraft is evil. I just got Jericho bought me a Minecraft account to play with you guys. Like, I apologize. I'm not trying to keep going there, but it's just stuck in my head. I think it's because I saw a guy made Pokemon like Red and Blue or something in Minecraft, and I was just like, what is this? Like, this dude could, I don't know, cure cancer. His talents are wasted on uselessness.
The best minds of our generation are, in fact, playing Minecraft.
You guys are brilliant. You guys aren't stupid or lazier than the next generation. You've just been encouraged to think you're stupider and lazier than all the other generations. You've been encouraged to downgrade yourself. You've been encouraged to think yourself as less. And I'm not like, oh, you guys are great and you guys are sinless. You're all still sinners. But the main problem you guys have is you're so down on yourselves. You're so beaten, and the don't buy a house, the memes get there too. And so you end up stealing from those that you could love and care for with all the gifts you have. Playing music, singing songs, hanging out. You steal from one another because you're convinced you're just nothing. You might view the people in this room as needing you to be faithful. That might be a thing. But most of you do not view the people in this room as necessary for your faith. You don't view the church, you don't view Zion over here, your brothers and sisters in Christ, as necessary for your salvation. It's not something we do. That's love. Right? Timothy is told this. He said, you need to defend the faith that's been given you. You need to do the work of an evangelist so that those that hear you and yourself are saved. And we're like, that's so weird. Yeah, because you need one another. The whole thing's built on community. The whole thing's built on you don't know your sins and you need other people to point them out. Because guess what? You don't want them pointed out. And it hurts. And you need to have people who love you enough to do this with you. Not beat you. You're already beaten. Something like a quarter of you coming into this school have depression. It's not that you need to be told you're more wicked, you're more bad. Some of you have a really good understanding of that. What you actually need is to know that these people around you want to invest time and energy and care into you to make you better people for God through His grace. Not so you can be better, not so you can be happier, but that you can actually be presented to God as more faithful. And that definition of love isn't in our vernacular. Like if we went through a definition of love, it would be something like affirmation. Lovelessness in its most respectable form tells you to live for yourself, that you don't desperately need the prayers of the people around you, or their rebuke, or their hospitality, or their example, that you don't need the courage of other men singing to help you sing, that you don't need the courage of the other women singing to help you sing, that you don't need the courage of believers around you to be faithful, that you're going to somehow well it up from someplace for some reason. And this is how you steal, because you live for self. The investment that you're supposed to put into other people, and instead of being a blessing that sharpened you, humbled you, and loved you, you're left alone and isolated. This fun fact, okay? These sermons I write are for me, and you get to listen to them. I know that sounds weird, but when I preach these, I think of myself, and it's meant to condemn how stupid I am. Okay? So we're going to return to story time once again with League of Legends, everyone's favorite degenerate thing. Okay? We harken back to 2012. It is season 2 of League of Legends. You probably don't know what any of that means. Okay? Okay? Season 2 of League of Legends. I have just hit Diamond in League of Legends. Do you know what that means for season 2? Probably not. It means I am in the top 0.01% of players of that dumb video game. It means there's less than 1,000 people at that video game better than me. I am here at Tech. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I'm failing classes because I'm playing League of Legends all the time. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to go become a professional League of Legends player. Because the way that I live my life has always been all or nothing. Like, when I find something to do, I do it all the way or I don't do it at all. I'm very much in this mindset of go, 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 and don't stop. It's why I hurt myself. It's how I get sick. It's why I'm planting a church, running a campus ministry, raising money for a $1.5 million building, and I have 3 kids, and I'm writing a book. And I'm taking seminary classes because I'm stupid. Okay? Because I love to overwork myself, because I get some kind of validation out of it, because I grew up with a mother who said if you weren't working, you were useless. I've been working. I have had less than 6 months of no work since I was 13. It was how I validated myself to my parents. It's not just you. And this isn't like I look at you guys and be like, stupid peons, I have my life together. This is me. All this stuff is written because it's the problems that I see, that I had, and I have. I went to tech here. I failed thermodynamics twice. I had to drop it once. Do you know why? Does anybody know this story? No. I skipped every Monday of thermodynamics for 3 semesters to do hot cocoa. Don't do that. That's stupid. You know what happens when you miss the third of the classes? You learn only 2/3 of the material. Does 2/3 equal passing? No, because in your degree you have to have a C or higher. It didn't work. That is what I did, because that's how I am. I am all in or nothing. And I always get into way too many things. I was offered the opportunity to go to Marquette and start a Bible study for students at Marquette. You know how tempting that was? You know how cool that would be? You know how much a waste of my time that would be to drive 2 hours once a week plus the in-between time when I have all this other stuff on my plate? And thankfully, I had a couple of pastors from the seminary tell me not to, and I wasn't allowed to, which was helpful because that took the decision off my plate. But this is why we have one another. Because I would have another stupid thing on my plate that I shouldn't be doing amidst all the other grant writing and children and everything else. Because that's what I love to do. I love to do too much. And so I want you to understand that this isn't to beat you down or to push you away or say, I want to point out to you that these are the real things you guys deal with and we have to face them. We have to understand the purpose of these things. And the purpose in his message, his commandment on stealing, is to remind you of these great needs that your brothers and sisters have. That one of your great purposes is to live for those around you. You are made, the gifts you were given, that you have, I don't care who you are, you have gifts, shut up and take it, are for the people sitting next to you. They're for the people you live with. They're for the church you're a part of. They're for the friends that you have. They're for your family. What God has made you in, to his glory, is for those around you. It is for sacrifice. And you have to embrace that. It is what's going to lead the church. It's what always has led the church. We sang a song today about martyrs and saints, people who died. I don't remember the saying. Sion, you have to help me. I believe it's the martyrs were the seed of the church.
The blood of the martyrs.
The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. It's how it's always been. It's always been the people who choose to sacrifice, who choose to give, who choose to go beyond, who choose to lay down the things that they want, the selfishness they have, and do for others, that actually grow the church. That their faith is lifted up, that their faces are lifted up, that God is glorified. And so when we talk about stealing from others, that must be the way we look at it. I don't want you to think about, we could talk forever about don't go up and take his bowl, don't go up and take his hat, don't steal, or we could talk about how it relates to adultery, we could talk about how it pertains to other sins. But the thing that you guys most struggle with as a generation is that refusal to see yourselves in the light of what God has made. Your abuse of yourselves, your abuse of your friendships, because you don't think you deserve. And you're downplaying what God has made, what God has done. And you need to embrace the fact that God has made you with gifts to give people, things to do, ways to honor, ways to build. And it's the way you're going to be the restoration of the church, the life of the church, wherever you go. Because this whole table's leaving. And when this whole table leaves, they're going to bring to their churches either life or death. Your guys are going to, I'm only going to see you at the cookout on the 9th. That's the next time I'm going to see you guys. I won't see you for the rest of the semester. You guys are going to go out and you're going to go back to where you're from. Churches, towns, workplaces. You're either going to be life or you're going to be death. You'll either fit in or you'll be somebody who's sacrificial and not to the point of detriment. Do I mean by sacrificial, you're just become a yes man and do all the extra work and take none of the credit? And is that what I'm saying? Please, more people shake their heads no. Okay? I am not telling you to destroy yourself. It would go completely antithetical to what we're saying. I am saying you must rightly know what God has made you to do. And so if you have abilities and you don't use them, and if you have abilities and you think that you should have better abilities and you want others' abilities, stop it. Trust that what God has made, what He has given you, is sufficient, and you will find great grace. And that's going to be kind of the focus of the question time. Okay? I did the same thing this time where I gave you lots. They're simpler than you think, I promise. Break. All right. I think everyone's prayed. So, questions that you have before I wrap up? Any questions that you have? This is your time. What book am I writing? I'm writing one on authority. So with so some of this wraps into with the authority message I gave you, but on whatever day it was. But when I was looking up things about authority, how to be a good authority mainly, and a lot of the books are, even the older books, are more focused on a lot of them are focused on building businesses, growing things, and they're not actually focused on leading people. They're focused on leading missions or organizations, and almost next to nothing on authority that I found was on what the role or purpose of authority is, what it's meant to do, and that was really frustrating for me. And so I've been spending quite a bit of time reading and trying to figure out what that would mean. Because especially today in the modern age, if you talk about authority, everyone's a leader. Everyone's in charge. Everyone's the boss. And that's not what authority is. And I want to pin down what that is to be helpful for people. And so I tasked myself in somewhere around February, January, somewhere in there, with like, okay, let me categorize all this, write about it. Because there's just nothing here. There's nothing about obeying authority, obeying God-given authority. Most of it's about arguing about how you don't have to or shouldn't, or most of it's about abuse victims, or it's about bad authorities, or it's about revolutions, or it's about, and none of it's about why is Abigail just as faithful as Sarah? That bothered me. So that's where I went. I don't know what I'll do with it, but yeah. It's my fun thing to do. Work. Any other questions? Come on, none? Oh yeah.
What do you think the oil market's doing in the
No.
You said any questions.
Yes, pertaining, yes.
So like, me and Hunter have a long day.
Yeah.
And we want to go home, and he wants to play video games, and I want to read my books. Like, when does that become not leisure and more of like time wasting?
So let's paint it a little bit more specifically rather than broadly, okay? If your days are categorized by coming home and finding ways to not be around others, to not serve others, if your days are categorized by that, you have a problem, right? But it also shouldn't look like every day you're going to the animal shelter, or every day you're going to the church, or every day. Our society loves to do one or the other. I love to do one or the other. Either you're every day at church and you're every day or you're every day at home. You must develop a cycle of life that has this level of, I'm spending time with my husband. I'm spending time reading books. So you're not burning out. You're not getting angry at people. You're not tired all the time. You're not staying up till 3 a.m. to read your book so that you actually have time for yourself. This is something my wife especially struggles with right now. She's got 3 kids, right? And she's always like, I don't have time for myself. And in that time, she doesn't. Right now, she doesn't. And her calling excludes some of that. And she has to make sure that she is not wasting time during the day to fill that gap so she can actually use that time meaningfully. Because one of the ways that moms can do that is like trying to find time during the day to hide away and not do their thing. And then when it comes to night, they're too exhausted and they waste their time on like Instagram or something instead of doing what they wanted to do because they're so burnt out from stealing all day instead of doing what was right. And there's guilt that fixes them there, if you've heard of the term mom guilt and things like that. And so our motto from last year, work hard, rest hard, was that last year? Yeah, our motto from work hard, rest hard should be your underlying assumption. Each day should be so that when you hit your pillow, you're actually tired, right? And you're not tired as in like, oh, I'm exhausted. You're tired as in I've actually satisfied my God today in what I'm doing. And you can do that by reading your books. And you can do that by playing your video games. But you can't do that by playing video games every day. You can't do that by reading your books every day. You can't do that to the expense of others or self. And that's where this balance thing comes in that's really hard for us because we're so black and white, dichotomous. Ditch jumping is the term that I like to use. We want to jump from one ditch to the other and make it, well, I have to do this much of this and then I get, even that premise, even I have to do so much at church and then I can stay home and read my book, misses the mark on what this is saying. Does that make sense? There should be an amount that you've helped, you've used your gift, you've done what you can, and now you should be able to faithfully say, no, I can't do that. That's not actually what I'm good at, right? If they want you to do greeter and it's not your thing, don't do it. Don't just do something because the church needs it. Do what you're actually able to do. Help with their website. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Don't say yes to things needlessly. You aren't good at everything. You're bad at some things. You're good at others. Embrace it. Do it. Don't spend 13 hours doing something that one hour or someone could spend 1 hour doing. Does that make sense? And if you take that mantra into life, then when you get home from work, you'll find, hey, my wife wanted me to paint this door for her. I can do that in between writing my sermon. I'll go down and paint the door, then I think of something and I'm gonna go up and keep writing my sermon. I'll come down and paint the door, I'll go back up, and it'll look a little funny. But what I'm trying to do is honor my wife, I'm trying to honor my job, and then I get to go to bed. And then another day, I don't have to paint the door because it's done, so I can, I don't know, write my book, read a book. I just got a book for my birthday, play a board game, I don't know. Like, don't get trapped in the snare of making it a give and a take. The leadership books, one of the things that gets me with this leadership and authority books is always on this idea of currency. It's in marriages too. They have to put so much in their tank and then you can withdraw out of it. Okay, have you guys heard that terminology before, in some way, shape, or form? I really don't like it because it sounds so engineering. And it kills me when you take that to important things. To like engineer that with my wife. Well, if I give her a foot massage and then I take the kids, then maybe she'll have sex with me. And it's just like, the whole logic is manipulation. And that's why I don't like a lot of authority books, because even marriage books, kind of focus on that premise, and I really hate it. When the idea of sacrifice is I'm actually doing something, and I'm doing it for them, to better them, and I'm not expecting something in return. And I'm not expecting to pull on it later. So yeah. This is a hard thing to pinpoint because it's not black and white, and I don't have restrictions for you. And it's going to be different between the two of you, and the two of you, and the two of you, and because maybe Ty can't play video games, because when he does, he's just on them for 48 hours straight, and he just can't control himself. And so Emily just goes, no, you can't do that. It's unhealthy for you. And that's good for Ty. And Emily may be the same with gardening. You can't bring her inside. You have to like scoop her in a wheelbarrow and rush her inside. I don't know, you know? And you realize you all have proclivities to certain things, right? Like you like doing certain things over others. Hey, you have to have someone that will help you with that. And that's always a game of give and take, of figuring that out, of working that out faithfully. Does that answer your question?
And if I may add
Yeah.
very briefly, you're married, but you don't have kids, right? And whatever hobbies you have right now, and once you start having children, your evenings are going to look different, right? And if you base your evenings around your hobbies to such a degree where now your future kids are become a burden to your hobbies and however your leisure time looks like, that's a problem, right? Your evenings and your daily life is just going to change as you have children and as you do those things. So that's just to keep in mind, and that's the reason also why I constantly tell you guys that you should always think about aiming your life. Like how, even though you're single, I want to be a good father. I want to be a good mother, and that's always what you're aiming for.
And your life's going to change. You're going to be parents at one point, then you're going to have kids, they won't have an empty house. Then what are you going to do? And your life is going to constantly change. And you may have kids, and they may die. And your life's going to look very different. And it's too hard to pinpoint. Anything else? Okay, I want to talk about question 4, because that's the end of this, okay? You need to grow in your understanding of the people around you, the value, the worth, the love, the care that they have, because you must not become isolated. This world breeds isolation. Instagram breeds isolation. Social media in all its forms breeds isolation. It pushes you to have connections that are not real. Friends that are online. Discord friends that are online. You've never met them in your life. All of this will push you to be isolated from the people truly around you that you actually get to help. And you must strive to have people around you that help you persevere in faith. The body of believers, your church, your friends, your family, should be helping you persevere. And that is the core of fulfilling this commandment. You will not steal if you are sacrificing for others. And you will know this when someone starts sacrificing for you. You may have this in your mind or in some history, something, where someone did something for you and it made a profound experience, where now you want to replicate that same thing and help them or do something else. This can be an earth-shattering, life-defining thing for people. When you choose to give up something for other people. This is the core of every movie, right? What does the hero do? Sacrifices for the other people. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they come back. Whatever it is, it's always based around the idea of sacrifice. And so the core of what you must have going forward is a people you're willing to sacrifice for. And that is how you'll keep this commandment. And the only way you're going to have that is if you look upon Christ. If you try to love your wife and you try to do it every day just by going to work and doing the things, what's going to happen? You get tired. I don't know if any of you experienced this, but after about 2 months of doing schoolwork, you're kind of done doing schoolwork. You're ready for the break, right? Why is that? Well, because it gets monotonous, it gets tiring, it's too much work, Why do you have to keep doing it well? Because it's the lot God's given you. It's the work God's given you. It's what He's blessed you with now. Because you're working towards a goal to glorify God. You have to realize that in everything, there's a certain high that will get there. Like in new marriages, there's the honeymoon phase everyone talks about. What happens after the honeymoon phase? No more honeymoon phase. No more honeymoon phase. Anytime you have this type of thing, if you're on a spiritual high, eventually what happens? You come down. And the work that you built has to be done in the coming down, in the flatlining, in the monotonous. And that is done through sacrifice and through continual work and effort in loving and caring for and doing against what may be your emotion at the time. You may not want to go and help at the thing at your church, but you know it's a good use of your time. And you know if you don't, you're going to play Call of Duty Zombies for the next 6 hours in a Mountain Dew-induced pizza rage. You know yourself. You're not stupid. And so don't use it as an excuse and learn the joy of sacrifice. Because that was what was set before you with the cross. The joy of sacrifice. The blessing of sacrifice. The call to live beyond yourself. That is the only way you're going to do it. If we could sit here and talk about like ways you could do it by like tricking yourself, or like the tip if you're going to go to the gym and you don't want to, if you go to the parking lot, if you drive to the parking lot but tell yourself that's all you're going to do, you'll get out of the car and go to the gym. Why? Because you're already there, and there's this psychological part of you that is sunk cost fallacy. Like there's tips and I don't want to do that. Tips and tricks do not teach you sacrifice. Why? If you have all the words of the gospel and have not love, what are you? Anyone remember that verse? A clanging gong or a squeaky gate? What verse am I quoting? Oh, come on. 1 Corinthians 13. Can someone find it for me? I want to end with reading that passage.
Oh, 13 off.
It is. It's the most obvious. Someone find 1 Corinthians 13 for me. Read it, and then I'll pray. Just the first, I think it's like 7 verses. Just the parts where it's like, if you don't have love.
If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but do not have love, I have become a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I give all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I surrender my body to be burned, but do not have love, it profits me nothing.
Thank you. Nope, that's good. That's the core of the Christian faith. You have to have love. You have to have love for people. You have to sacrifice for people. You have to build. And when you go for 3 months and you go off someplace, guess what you're supposed to do when you get there for 3 months? Build. What if you're never returning? Who cares? The core of love is that. It does not expect a return. It expects to build and grow and sacrifice and give unendingly. And so if you want to fulfill the commandment to your brothers and sisters in this room, outside this room, across the country, in your home, your parents, you only do it through love and sacrifice. You will only achieve it by first having love and sacrifice, because that is the model that was set before you. A man who was killed by the people he came to save to redeem them, even though they hated him, in spite of them. That's your example. That's the first example we read. We'll get there. Cyan loves these slides with the thingies that I'd never used before.
No, I actually don't do it. I used Blasi's.
Oh, Blasey does it. That's the problem. All right. Right? He, although he existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped. He being made in the likeness of men. Being found in the appearance as a man, he humbled himself, becoming obedient to the point of death, even to death on a cross. That's your example. So your challenge, even these last few weeks, love people. Let them love you. Let them care for you. Let them celebrate you. Celebrate others. Have a stupid party. Spend the 15 minutes doing something with them. They matter more than you. I know that's like a weird thing in your head, because I've been telling you, like, care about yourself too. Yeah, it's a balance. You actually have to love others, and you have to actually take care of yourself. I know, you can't just choose one. It's so much easier that way. But that's the calling. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, forgive us of our stupidity, of our desire to run to things, our desire to do things only in this simplistic, rundown way, to make exchanges with you like we can barter with you. Like, I'll go to church this day, and then I get to do this thing. And teach us to not tire of giving, of sacrificing for one another, of building your church, of loving one another, of being devoted to your work in this world, on this earth, against our notions, against our desires. Give us right desires. Against our desire to manipulate, give us a desire to give beyond all and to lose things. Give us the care that we should have for ourselves, as we often self-immolate, as we often destroy. And give us a compassion for those around us, that we can love and care for them and develop true fellowship that comes from you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now may the God of peace, who brought up from the dead the great shepherd of the sheep, through the blood of the eternal covenant, our Lord Jesus, equip you in every good thing to do his will, by doing in us what is pleasing in his sight, through Jesus Christ, to whom be the glory forever and ever. Amen.